So I wanted to make a video to share a couple of things. You might have noticed that I haven't been online that much lately. I've decided that I need to take a bit of a break from the internet, so I'm just gonna post events and the occasional Instagram photo, but other than that I'm not going to use Facebook or Twitter or social media for a while. And I just wanted to say something about it rather than just disappear, because I know that I'm definitely not the only person that needs to do that right now. So one of the qualities that I identify most with is resilience, and I know that I'm really resilient, but as a lovely friend pointed out to me the other day, there's only so much resilience you can have in one day, and right now there is so much to wade through. Personally, I've been waiting for this to ease off for months, but it just keeps ramping up, and it's just not possible to have the resources to absorb and process when there is so much shit to take in right now. Just a little trigger warning, I'm going to mention some harassment stuff, so those of you who've known or followed me for a while will know that I've been talking about and making work about this stuff for a long time now. Pretty much all the work that I've done in the last few years has been in some way related to gender equality advocacy. And I guess, like most people, I didn't expect the last few months to unfold the way that they have. I kind of thought that the Weinstein allegations would be a bit of a blip. You know, just based on past experience, things come up and, you know, it's a scandal for a moment and then everything's back to normal. I thought the outrage would just be a blip on the radar, and that all the outpouring of like metoo stories would be essentially just waited out by those who the status quo favours, and leaving everyone who'd shared their stories just completely drained and exhausted with little change. And I'm really thrilled to see that I seem to have been wrong. It seems like some actual change has been happening, and you know, it hasn't been forgotten, and I'm really genuinely thrilled about that. It does seem that some men who've been empowered and even encouraged to get away with abuse, sometimes for decades, are finding that those structures that empowered them aren't as bulletproof as they once were, and that's fantastic. You know, and women all over the world are continuing to fire bullets, and that's really incredible. I see no signs of that letting up, and I think that's great. 2017 was a really challenging one for me personally, and I felt really slowed down by processing all of the shit that went down, both on a global level and a personal level. I launched my film clip for Give It Away in February, at the end of February, and did a bunch of press for that, talking about how it came out of my experience of a lot of this sort of thing. You know, the reality of the music industry being really dominated by men at every level, and the ways in which young women in particular are just really subjected to a lot of gross, controlling, objectifying bullshit, basically. And, you know, this stuff happens in personal relationships too, of course. And the song and the video addresses both, and it was a really exposing track and video for me to make, but I was ready to put it out there, and I felt like I made a really strong statement, but it involved a lot of vulnerability too. I was in a really good place creatively, and I felt like I was really on a really good trajectory to really take last year by the horns and run with it. As it turns out, I was really thrown off kilter by a bunch of shit. Just as I was supposed to be promoting this single and recording vocals for an EP, I was dealing with those exact issues of control and harassment. I was dealing with those exact issues of control and harassment and assault. Like, those exact things were playing out in my life again. And I couldn't really put myself out there. I couldn't throw myself out to the media to talk about the song in the ways that I had planned to and wanted to, and that the song needed me to do, because I was trying really hard to assert those boundaries in my actual life, my current life. like I wrote that song about situations that were past and dealt with, and then pretty much the moment I released it, I was suddenly having to navigate it all over again with different people. So it completely threw me, and it made me need to withdraw quite a bit, because I needed to withdraw from attention, because this shit is scary. Nobody wants to be harassed or assaulted or obsessed over, as cool as that might sound to some people, and some people seem to think that people want to be subjected to that, which I don't understand how you could think that. But nobody wants to be obsessed over by people who don't understand boundaries or don't want to, or can't hear or won't hear the word no. And one way to avoid that is to avoid life and avoid exposure. So, and as a singer, that's kind of career suicide, so yay. But I needed time out, and I needed to slow down and make sure that nothing moved quickly, and that I was comfortable with how much I was sharing of myself. It was the opposite of what I wanted to do, because I am actually prefer to be open, and I wanted to share all of the songs and all the ideas that I had and all the thoughts. And I'm still really angry at the people that kind of forced me into that situation to slow down and take another step back. I'm still angry about that. Men who just didn't care about anything other than their desire to just have access to somebody who didn't want them to have access to them. So yeah, I'm still pretty angry about that. I really wanted to soar last year, and by all rights I should have been soaring, because I was ready to, creatively. Instead I was anxious, and I was jumping at shadows and fighting to stand up for myself. At the same time, I'm running these workshops that are electronic music workshops aimed at women and non-binary people, and I'm having this like cognitive dissonance between like standing up and being an example of a female producer in a woman who's like holding her own in this industry, while I'm actually going through really immediate trauma. So that was fun. It's a really weird place to be. Well, out of that really strange time in the middle of last year, I produced You Got No Right. I really needed to blast some anger out of me and just like put a hand up and just say, stop, no, I refuse to accept that this is just going to keep happening. I'm so done. I'm so done. So I write this song, and I'm ready to record vocals and mix it down, and then Me Too happens, and it's just like an explosion. And like I said, I'm really thrilled that it wasn't just a blip on the radar. I'm really thrilled about that. But for anybody who was already experiencing and processing trauma around this stuff, it was like being sent into overdrive. And I know a bunch of you know what I'm talking about. You know, suddenly every social media platform needs a trigger warning, and that's still true. It's not like it just hasn't slowed down, or if it has, only a tiny bit. It just hasn't stopped. You know, it feels like every day there's more revelations, and there's more women speaking out, and with that there's more and more debates about women's responsibilities and failings and credibility. Any woman who hasn't spoken out and named their abusers is like condemned as a coward, who has condemned the women to further abuse. And any woman who has named their accuser has like been condemned as possibly lying or minimizing their own role in what happened. And it's like every day, every week, 4 months, and it's still happening. I don't know how to explain this to anyone who doesn't already understand exactly what I'm saying, who isn't experiencing the same thing. I'm exhausted and I'm so angry. I am not just angry at the men who did and do these things. I'm angry at that processing all of this and absorbing this global trauma and the holding of each other. This is all work. This is all energy that none of us can spare. The toll it's taken on my productivity and my ability to produce and promote my own work in the last year, it blows my mind. And I'm so angry that there are so many men who have no idea, who don't have to carry all that. And, you know, along with doing their work, they just get to do the work and go home. That's it. And whereas so many of us are living with this 24/7 and, you know, supporting each other as well as surviving. And that's all energy that could be going towards creating and building careers that are already booby-trapped against us succeeding. So, and I'm not going to get specific about my own experiences, and I make no apologies for that because my story is my own and I don't owe it to anyone. And I decide what my boundaries are, even when it comes to this stuff. I'm not public property, and no woman is. But the truth is, and I really wish this wasn't the case, I didn't expect it to be. This stuff it's not past experiences for me. This is stuff that, well, it's stuff from the past, but it's stuff that I have to monitor still in my present life. I don't get to just relax and assume that it's all good once I assert myself. It's a constant thing. There hasn't been a month in the last year that I haven't been having to negotiate with how to deal with some dude who wants shit from me that I don't want to give them. So it's hard, I guess, to sum it up. I'm really tired, and this takes a toll on my health, and I want to be as tough as nails, and I actually think I am. But I'm also really vulnerable. And one thing that the last few months has really taught me is that I matter. So that's good. I knew that, but you know, I'm so exhausted by this, from trying to balance it all, from trying to soldier on and just push through it. And actually I do need a break. You know, I slowed things down a lot last year, but I didn't take a break. I did a lot. And I've been running myself into the ground. All I want to do is make music and take care of myself right now. That's all I want to be doing. And my body's just telling me to stop. I keep getting injuries and illnesses, and I've never really gotten stage fright. It's not really a thing for me. I love performing. I love performing so much. I love singing. But lately I've been so wired, like my body's just been so wired that the adrenaline of getting on stage has seen me like throwing up in the bathroom before I get on stage. And that's insane, because that's not me. That's exhaustion and trauma, and it's preventing me from being able to enjoy the one thing that makes me the happiest, which is performing. And it's not the performing that's stressing me out, it's everything that goes with it. So I need to take a break from the stuff that goes with it. I'm still going to perform and I'm still going to record, but I'll actually have more energy for those things if I just take more time for myself. So I'm not quitting. Music is my life, and it always has been. I'm actually committing myself more to music than ever, but I need a break from social media, the media, and the internet in general. Like as an independent artist, it's up to me to push tracks out to radio and media and blogs, and right now I can't really do that because I just can't be engaged right now. I need to spend time in the country. I need to spend time in the gym. I need to spend time with my family and my friends. Need to spend time in the studio recording and mixing music that, you know, has been waiting for me without the pressure of deadlines, and, you know, showing my face to the world and proving that I'm actually doing this shit on a regular basis. And I'm not saying that all that stuff is toxic or unnecessary. it's just right now I'm so burnt out and I just need to breathe deeply, and I haven't been able to do that in a really long time. So, and I'm sharing this for a few reasons. One is that cognitive dissonance thing that I mentioned earlier. I really believe being honest is important. And I believe that my strength and my vulnerability go hand in hand. I believe I am far from alone in feeling this way. I know that. I don't just believe that. I absolutely know that. And I want to tell other people that, you know, who are feeling that same exhaustion and damage, that it's okay to withdraw for a while and to put yourself and your work first. I believe that as painful and difficult as this year has been for me and for so many people, that one good thing to come out of it is this growing collective conviction that we do matter, so much more than we've been led to believe, that the powers that be want us to believe. There are a lot of people who want you to believe that you don't matter. It really benefits them for you to believe that. And I don't believe that anymore. I think that I believe that the most radical thing I can do right now is to put my well-being first. And, you know, I also believe that I matter enough to enough people that when I'm ready to put myself and my work out there again, you'll be there. And I believe I'm good enough to not have to race. I don't believe that I have to prove myself as a tough, reliable commodity, or that I have to hit a certain profile by a certain age, or nobody will want to know or hear my voice anymore. That's a lie that the world tells women, that, you know, you've got to do it all and do it all now because, you know, you'll be washed up by the time you hit 30 and, you know, no one will want to listen to you then. You know, it's all bullshit. And it's taken me a really long time to get to the point where I'm comfortable enough with myself to say, I'm having a really tough time. But I know that accepting myself and my vulnerability, it's about the strongest thing that I can do. And, you know, that's, if the world respected the strength inherent in vulnerability more, then we probably wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. And I really believe that. I think that's a big part of how we've gotten to this point. So I'm taking some time for myself to heal, and I'm sharing that because I matter, and so do you. And I know a lot of you have doubted it for a long time, that you matter. So I didn't want to just go dark and not say anything. I hope you'll stick around, and I'll see you on the other side. But yeah, I'm not quitting, but I am going dark for a little while, so you won't see as much of me online for a little bit.